Welcome back, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show. I think we are defrosted and thawed out after that humongous winter storm that blew in from the north. In the studio today is Papa Romeo. How are you, sir?
I think the equipment is still defrosting.
Whatever notifications are coming there, if you could mute that, that'd be great. And there's probably a button in the bottom right-hand corner to mute all information down there. So, moving forward, it has been a humongous kind of ordeal with this whole winter storm that blew through, trying to make sure that we can kind of gather all the content. It didn't really suit well with me to have a show during this catastrophe that kind of came through all of Texas, Oklahoma, and some of the Louisiana area. So I wanted to kind of take the time off and make sure everybody had time to kind of get well and get their bearings. Thank the good Lord. He came in, opened up the sky, said Buenos Dias, put back the sun up in the sky, and said, let's keep things rolling here in Texas, because the way things were moving forward previously were just really tough. And for everybody up north, I really don't know how y'all do it. I know y'all have different kind of equipment, different kind of vehicles up there, but it's a little bit more challenging for us here in Texas. But we made it through. We've survived, and thoughts and prayers to everybody out there who wasn't so fortunate. We're all thinking about y'all. So with that being said, we're going to have a pretty good show today. We're going to talk about the franchise tag. That's what a lot of people are talking about. In the last segment, we'll talk about Mr. Dak Prescott and how much money he's probably going to be making. But also more to come is we're going to talk about high school recruiting. A lot has happened in the past week and a half. We will get that sorted out over there with Papa Romeo. Don't y'all worry about that. And that coming up. But also other individuals on the franchise tag. Chris Godwin is somebody who will mention a couple other athletes. And shout out to Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts getting a deal done or getting that trade done with Philly. Lots of animosity, I think, between the Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz, or maybe vice versa on that one. But it's going to be a big show. It's going to be fun. But I want to say, make sure y'all are out there being safe, driving safe, because we want to make sure we keep in our prayers Mr. Tiger Woods with that horrible accident he has. He seems to be recovering well by all the reports being out of California right now. And it just seems, I was listening to Cowherd, and on his show, he was basically saying how the roads that Tiger was driving on were just, are real narrow and a little bit more dangerous. And if you're going at high rates of speed, which Tiger probably is used to driving at high rates of speed just due to him being Tiger Woods, and car probably got loose, is highly speculation allegedly. And just grateful for the Los Angeles County to get them taken care of so that, we didn't have a tragedy on our hands after this big winter storm that blew through. But like I said, we're going to go ahead, and we have a lot more coming up, but just wanted to say a quick shout out to Tiger Woods. Hopefully everything gets back in order, and, for him to kind of have all these injuries. And I was kind of watching the Tiger Woods documentary on HBO and just seeing what he's kind of gone through and what he's battled through and overcome. This is just another thing for him to overcome. I think he's built for it. I think his mind is completely tough. He's not going to have any difficulty coming back physically, but for the rehab, the next, 7 to 8 months are going to be treacherous. But at the same time, I think mentally he's going to be well within his wheelhouse to kind of overcome and battle that. Papa Romeo, have we gotten things squared away on that end?
We're still looking at it. It's under review. But I was going to ask you, How old is Tiger at this point? Is he in his early 40s?
I think Tiger is in his mid-40s at this time. I think Tiger and I are about 7 years apart. Okay. So I think he's around his 43, 44 years old.
Yeah, I don't see him coming back the way to the old Tiger. He's going to come back a modified Tiger. And then, of course, in 5 years, if he's 45 in 5 years, he'll be ready for the senior tour. And then him and Phil Mickelson can go at it.
Well, that may be, maybe he would be qualified for that. But how do you take away that 2019 Masters that he did win coming from obscurity, which is one of the most challenging courses, and I'm pretty sure he knows very well, but one of the most challenging courses on the PGA Tour. For him to kind of win that in 2019, granted, coming back from this injury that he sustained, don't worry, we'll take care of that in the break. Once he comes back from these injuries, I'm pretty sure it may be a little bit more challenging depending on the injury that he sustained. He had injuries on both of his legs. Now, the speculation right now is we don't know which ankle was broken. So they're saying he had an injury where his ankle was shattered. Well, we just don't know if it's the left or the right. And with him being a right-handed hitter, if it's on that left ankle, that's a lot of where you're pivoting through your downswing. And so that would be a lot to overcome. But I think with today's technology, and I'm pretty sure the amount of money Tiger has at his disposal, the best physicians, orthopedists are going to be on board, and physical therapists as well, to get him back to where he needs to be.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's not going to be a fantastic golfer. I'm just saying, the younger Tiger had such power and torque when he was on his downswing. Between his back injuries historically and these new injuries, and then his age, I don't know that he's going to have that kind of power for the long ball. So he's going to have to make up for that on the short game, get that pitching wedge out and practice and work on his putting. So best of luck to him, though. He's a great guy. And the ironic thing, wasn't he on his way to give lessons, private lessons to some football celebrities there?
Yeah, he was actually on his way to do a filming session, and I think their niche at that time was they were trying to give lessons to some NFL pros, and previously they've had celebrities on this show with the Discovery Channel and Golf Channel. So he was kind of on his way. He was late to it, and those roads out there in California are a lot different than what we have here in Texas. Right. And so for that vehicle to get away, he was driving a vehicle that was provided by the sponsor, Genesis or Hyundai, hashtag no ad. But if you saw the wreckage and you saw the way that the front of that vehicle was mangled, and for the cab to be intact, I thought that was pretty a good showing on Genesis Hyundai's part to have such a quality vehicle. And I think with Tiger having his seatbelt on, that's why we're talking about him having lower extremities injuries rather than mourning the life of Tiger Woods today. Right. All right, y'all, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit of high school recruiting. We'll get that mute button sets for Papa Romeo. And, if y'all are enjoying everything, give a like, subscribe. I'm drinking some coffee because it's been some long days lately. But we'll be back in the mix here in about 4 or 5 minutes. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show at Studio 44, about 26 minutes after the hour. Let's get into some high school recruiting via Recon Athlete. If y'all enjoy high school recruiting or want to know about the latest individuals, where they're getting offers, what high schools they go to, shoot on over to Recon Athlete and give them a subscribe or give them a like and a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So let's get into it real quick. Out of LBJ, you're going to probably recognize this name. He is a Makuba. He is the little brother of Andrew Makuba, who is the Clemson Tiger commit. Mr. Fatu Makuba has received his first offer from Tulsa University. The young DB out of LBJ, he'll be kind of moving to fill in the shoes of his older brother, who is now going to South Carolina to Clemson. Then moving on over to Lake Travis High School, their outstanding safety, Derek DJ Johnson, picks up an Ivy League offer from Columbia University. So big shout out to Derek. He's been playing varsity football at Lake Travis since he was a true freshman. So really good on him to see that. And then going over to Vandergrift High School, Mr. Reese Beauchamp, he has picked up an Ivy League offer as well from Penn University. That's a very big wideout, 6'2", 180-pound receiver for the Vandergrift Vipers, is a very, very solid receiver for the upcoming quarterback. We're not sure who that may be. In fact, it may be Beauchamp as they kind of move forward. And then out of Round Rock High School, who did knock off the Lake Travis Cavaliers in the first round of the 2020 playoffs in the Bi-District round, Round Rock's DB Davion Finch has committed to Texas Lutheran out of Seguin. The Texas Lutheran Bulldogs have wrapped up a lot of solid talent. They're currently in their season right now in the spring, since they did go ahead and forego the regular season in the fall due to COVID. And we're going to continue to move over to Hayes. Mr. Tyson Hatnot has picked up an offer from Sol Ross University out in West Texas. And then that man, y'all know his name, the receiver out of Del Valley, may not be Burton, but this time, Mr. Braylon James, the four-star receiver, has indeed locked up an offer from Cal Berkeley out of the Pac-12. Big offer on him, getting a lot of love. And then Jace Robinson, the quarterback who went down with a knee injury in the middle of his seniors campaign, has picked up an offer from Abilene Christian University. So really cool to see Jace get that offer from Rockdale High School, played along some really great talented skill players as well. And then Drew Dickey, the private school Regents quarterback, big-time arm, big-time quarterback, would be balling at any of these high schools around here, but he chose to play at a private school. Drew has locked up an offer from We Are Marshall out in West Virginia. So a lot of good offers coming in. And then we want to give also a shout-out to the running back out of San Marcos, King Nelly. I'm not quite sure that's his name. Nelson Coleman is his given name. Has picked up an offer and probably going to be committing to Lakeland University. So he is kind of growing things out there. There's going to be a big camp April 10th, I believe. If I'm not sure, let me double check. Yes, April 10th, there's going to be a large showcase sponsored by Coach O out of Dallas. He's doing his Central Texas recruiting event. So all the local talent, if you'd like to go ahead and get your name out there, you want to get your huddle in front of the right people, you need to go ahead and register for that. You can go check out Recon Athlete on Twitter. We've retweeted that for Coach O. And there's going to be lots of people out there. I believe that some of the other individuals who are going to be out there is going to be it's going to be Bam Performance. He is a DB coach out of Austin, the private school, and then Lone Star Prospects as well. Want to give a big shout out to Sean Rutherford. His team will also be out there promoting. That's Juice Football also. And then breaking news out of 13 minutes ago, like we mentioned before, Lake Travis defensive back Derek DJ Johnson has just locked up another offer from Army 13 minutes ago via Twitter. So shout out to Derek getting on that big offer. Let's go ahead and let's ask Papa Romeo, what sticks out to you? We kind of touched on, Lake Travis. We touched on Vandergrift. We touched on Round Rock, San Marcos. We're kind of just seeing, not the greater Austin area kind of getting those last-minute offers that are kind of coming in. Is this something that you see consistently happening with the Ivy League offers? Do you think that correlates to the schools that they're kind of being marked with Lake Travis's and the Vandergrifts for the Ivy League offers? And then we have another offer like Lake Travis with Army. So We're seeing these studious student athletes kind of go out and get big offers from the Ivy League schools and military academies. Do you think those correlates with the school districts, with the Ivy League offers and then military academies?
I don't know that it correlates to the school versus the duality between the college and the high school. I think it's more of the Ivy League schools and then the academies are going to go after smart kids that can play football.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that talent around here, as opposed to the Power 5 schools going after the 5 stars. From just listening to you and looking at what's going on around recruiting, that's what I see. That's the correlation I see is they're going to get good, solid, smart kids to go play good, solid football so they can have something else to do besides study at the Ivy Leagues. And the academies are actually not too bad. I mean, they did pretty well this past year.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I kind of talk a lot about is that these students at the Westlakes, the Lake Travis, the Vandergrifts, they may have a little bit more rigorous academic requirements for their students at those high schools. But what often happens, and this is just my perspective, kind of what I see, having covered, recruiting for recon athlete for over 2 years now, is that the academies, like you said, they go after high quality students, but they're also going after high quality athletes. And what ends up happening is that those Power 5 schools who are high tradition programs, your Ohio States, your Michigans, your Texas, your Texas A&Ms, your TCUs, your Rices, those types of universities, they're going to swoop in and they're kind of monitoring, okay, we know this kid's got the grades and we know he's a 3, maybe borderline 4-star recruit.
Right.
And they're going to come in and they're going to kind of garner all that. So if you see guys like Derek Johnson getting offers from, and this is going to be, he's going to be going into his senior year. So you saw, it usually kind of goes this way. It usually goes Ivy League, and then it's going to go military academy, and then you're going to get a school like Illinois State, and then Illinois State's going to turn into an Iowa State, and then an Iowa State's going to turn into a Arkansas, and then an Arkansas is going to turn into like Texas or Texas A&M or a Texas Tech, a TCU, and then it's going to may even turn into like a Virginia Tech, because if these guys can perform in the academic world for the Ivy League schools, they can definitely go to the Virginia Techs, the Georgia Techs, because those are now institutions rather than universities. So just kind of wanted to put that out there a little bit. That's a little microcosm of how the higher academic students who are great athletes, kind of how they funnel into the bigger universities. And for some of the Ivy League schools, they get let down, but then sometimes they're able to turn around, and a turnaround that I can reference instantly is Brendan Jones, the 3-star defensive end from LBJ. He was originally committed to Columbia, and then the guys at UTSA came and recruited him hard, and it was fortunate for him and for the University of Texas San Antonio. All of their playoff games were in San Antonio. And then in the 10th hour, the 11th hour, Columbia came in and said, would you like to just change your life and come to New York and play for Columbia? And which he did. He flipped and committed and now signed his national letter of intent to Columbia. So you kind of see how those mid-major universities can get out-dueled, so to speak, by the Ivy Leagues in that instance. But for the most part, the kids mainly are going to go where high competition is located.
Well, and all I'm really saying is the Ivy Leagues are fishing in a pond that's good for them. I mean, they know where to go. They got the fishing hole or the fishing spots.
They're called pipelines.
Well, that too. But you said they were great athletes, and I'm not disputing that they're good athletes. Now they're great students, obviously, if they're going to go to the Ivy League, because you have to have the grades. I mean, you're not going to see the defensive line from LSU or Alabama go enroll at Harvard. There may be one or two, but as a whole, how many of these guys at Harvard or at Columbia or Dartmouth have the 6'6", defensive lineman? How many of them have the 4'3", 4'4" wide receiver or running back?
Outside of Marcellus Wiley, who played at Buffalo and then played at Dallas, very few.
And I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying they're good for their program that fits. smart kids who are good athletes and the key factors that want to play football.
Yeah, shout out Ryan Fitzpatrick too. He's a Harvard grad.
Yeah, he's a Harvard grad.
So that is true. Now, you did mention you used the word great, and I said great with athlete. Now, in my opinion,
you said great.
Now hold on. What I want to make very clear. I want to make very clear is there's a difference between great and elite. There's a difference between great athletes and elite athletes, and that's when we talk about the kids who are going to get funneled into the Alabamas, who are going to get funneled into the A&Ms, to the Texas, to the Ohio States. There's a difference between great and elite, and that's usually
where do you put good.
And that a good athlete is like a 2-star athlete. A great athlete is like a 3-star athlete. Your 4 and your 5s. Now we're talking about elite, and there's a difference.
That makes sense.
And that's why we have this grading system. 36 minutes after the hour. Good little banter between me and Papa Romeo. I'd like to get him lathered up into the conversation because then
don't
he
start
can just
talking
get
about
loose.
the Cowboys, okay?
Well, we're going to talk about the Cowboys coming up, but that won't be until the final part of the show. We're going to talk about Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones and their ongoing, I guess, contractual drama. Yeah, exactly. Let's get a break real quick. We'll be back upon the break, and we're going to talk a little bit about the franchise tag and when the deadline for the deal to get done is going to happen. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show. I think Papa Romeo finally got things figured out on his end. And I don't know, feeling more comfortable out there since you've been out of the game for about a week?
Yeah, we're working on it here. Yeah, we'll be all right.
He's working on it.
I'm doing what I can do.
Well,
remember, I grew up on Atari, man. I didn't grow up on an iPhone.
I think Atari may be a little bit after your time also.
I don't know. We had two dots going back and forth all night long playing.
What was that game called?
Atari.
No, what was the game called? Not the console.
It was either ping pong or something like that.
All right, if y'all know what that game was called, let us know in the comments below. The franchise tag. Papa Romeo, do you know what the franchise tag is? Do you know why it exists?
No, but it sounds pretty important. And if Dak Prescott's involved in it and he hasn't gotten it, I am not shocked.
Well, Dak Prescott has already got the franchise tag for last year, but we'll get into that later on.
But we're talking about the coming year, right?
He received it last year.
Right, but are you referring to the context of the franchise tax for the upcoming season?
Correct, okay. Yes. But I wanted you to know if you understood what the meaning and what the practicality of the franchise tag meant. So what it means is that the franchise likes you. They love you. They want to date you, but they ain't looking to marry you quite yet because they're not giving you that contract. But they're saying, we like your skills. We think you're good enough, but we're not good enough to pay you for X amount of years at X amount of dollars. And so what this is going to allow them to do is average the top 5 contracts of that position. And a decision has to be made by that player before March 9th. And so we're kind of in that wheelhouse right now. And there's a few other players besides Dak Prescott, and we'll get to Cowboy talking a little bit. We're going to make you wait for it. And with that being said, the biggest teams that kind of stick out to me were the top 2 teams who played in the NFC Championship, and that's the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, we'll leave the Super Bowl champs to a little bit later, but the franchise tag is probably and needs to be placed on Aaron Jones, the running back out of UTEP for the Green Bay Packers, just due to the fact that the likelihood and the history does not bode well for weapons being drafted by the Green Bay Packers. And so if Aaron Rodgers wants to repeat, I believe, and have a back-to-back MVP campaign year, Papa Romeo shaking his head over there, I don't think he doesn't believe he can do it. But Aaron Jones is going to need to be that pivotal piece in the backfield so that he can get more weapons at his disposal. When he gets Bakhtiari back on his offensive line, we saw with Bakhtiari out, Tampa Bay's defensive line was able to get to Aaron Rodgers. Same thing happened in the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes and his depleted offensive line. So with Bakhtiari back, and you have Aaron Jones, the running back, who's their number 1 running back, top fantasy football option at running back due to the fact that he catches so much out of the backfield in the PPR leagues, he has a high value with Aaron Rodgers because Aaron loves to throw the ball all around the yard. So I like Aaron Jones to get that franchise tag. If he went out and tested the market, I think he would be paid in the top 3 or 4 in the NFL at the running back position. That's going to obviously that market's going to probably be reset next year. But with Aaron Jones, if he does not get franchise tag, then that market would probably be reset this year. Now on the other side of the team with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris Godwin. The guy wore number 12 last year. Well, with Mr. Brady coming in to Tampa Bay this year, Chris Godwin wanted to pay his respects and let Tom Brady take over the number 12, and he rocked the number 10 this year. The 6'2 receiver, I think, is a huge asset for them to come back. Now, do they have a lot of talent? Sure. Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski. Now, with Brown and Gronkowski, they're going to be free agents. The difference is those guys are 30+. Chris Godwin's, I think, in his mid-20s. So with Godwin being an absolute nightmare at 6'2 to cover, paired that with Mike Evans on the other side of the ball, and then you got their other receiver, Scotty, in the slot. Or if you want to move him out, let him play that Y and let Godwin play the Z inside. I mean, I just think Chris Godwin's matchup in the slot is just too much to handle. But if Chris Godwin goes to the market, the guy's going to rack up. he's going to probably making 22 million per year. And under the franchise tag, he probably won't be making that much, but he'll be making close. But if he go test the market, which he could do that next year, or maybe a deal could get done next year for Chris Godwin and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2 rings, a new 4-year contract, maybe resetting the market at the wide receiver position after Michael Thomas did it last year. Chris Godwin is in a prime position to make a boatload of money. Out of those 2 individuals, and Papa Romeo, before we get to Dak Prescott in our final segment, who do you think is in the most need of weapons out of those 2 franchises between, and we're talking about the top of the totem pole here, with Green Bay and with Tampa Bay? Do you think the running back position is more of a need for Green Bay due to their lack of assets? Or do you think that for Tampa Bay to repeat, they're going to need another highly skilled, highly uncoverable receiver to have as a weapon for Tom Brady next year into their Super Bowl run?
You know, I sit here and I listen to everyone talk about Green Bay and the bromance that a lot of people have with the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and it's like he's on his way out. He is.
He was Super Bowl MVP. He was NFL MVP. NFL MVP.
Yeah, take it easy. They didn't go MVP. They didn't go. Maybe they went in 6
He didn't go last year.
But what I'm saying to you is, Aaron Rodgers is, like you said, a great quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Wow. Okay. So
he's the NFL MVP.
Why didn't they win the Super Bowl?
Because their left tackle Bakhtiari was out, and Aaron Jones, the guy we're talking about, them franchising tag, had 2 critical fumbles. Not to mention that highly questionable coaching calls in the red zone for the Green Bay Packers was poor at best.
I'll give you the same question that I gave you about Tampa Bay. Does the quarterback for Tampa Bay make their coach a better coach, or is that vice versa? Does that coach make the quarterback a better quarterback? Which is it?
We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Why are we talking about Tampa Bay?
Because I.
So you're asking me the question is, does Aaron make the coach better, or does the coach make Aaron better?
Yes, that was the same question I gave you about Tampa Bay, and I'm bringing it to Green Bay.
Okay.
So, so the question is, I think they need to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. They need to trade him and be done with it. Just be done with it.
So where do you think he needs to retire? Is what you're saying?
Well, he's headed out to pasture.
Who's better than Aaron Rodgers besides
Tom
Patrick
Brady?
Mahomes? Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at that comparison. You take Tom Brady and you put him in Green Bay, and you take Aaron Rodgers and you put him in Tampa Bay. What's the difference?
Patrick Mahomes?
No, what's the difference with the teams? With if you put Tampa
Brady, Bay has a better defense.
So you're telling me that Tampa won because their defense was better?
Yes.
Okay, I don't disagree with that, but what I'm telling you is, if we just looked at the offenses, would there be a drop off in production between? Do you think that Tom Brady would have as good a run in Green Bay as he had last year in Tampa?
No.
Okay, so now if we put Aaron Rodgers in Tampa Bay, would they win a Super Bowl?
No.
So you're telling me that the defense won the Super Bowl, but if Aaron Rodgers was on the team in Tampa, they would not win a Super Bowl?
I don't think they would.
What would be the hiccup for them not getting there? The interceptions? Because Tom Brady threw 4 interceptions in the last 2 games of the playoffs, in the divisional championship and he threw 4. Yeah, he threw 4 interceptions in the divisional. 2 in the divisional, and 3. He threw 5 in the conference championship.
We can throw out all the stats you want to throw out.
Just talking about the comparison.
The comparison to me as a fan is that Tom Brady can take an average team.
They are not average.
Like Tampa Bay.
They are not average.
Okay. Where did they go the last 2 years?
They had their hindrance was due to Jameis Winston throwing 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
Okay. And all I'm saying to you is, the leadership factor of Tom Brady is better than the leadership factor of Aaron Rodgers.
And I don't discount that. But what I'm telling you is that the skill set of Aaron Rodgers is by far head and shoulders above Tom Brady. Therefore, if Aaron Rodgers went to Tampa Bay, they would have went 12-4, 13-3, home field advantage, and won the Super Bowl. That's because the type of weapons that Aaron Rodgers has in Green Bay were never drafted.
Okay, so now are we blaming their general manager?
Hell yes, we're blaming the general manager.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Well, you never mentioned it till right now.
We're talking about the teams, right? The GM is part of the team. He's the guy who's buying the groceries, right? And that's the difference, because these people now, I got to give Tom credit for recruiting Gronkowski and Antonio Brown.
Right.
I got to give him credit on that.
Was it Antonio Brown?
Antonio Brown, excuse me. I got to give him credit for that one. And maybe Fournette too, because Fournette came in midway through the season. So those three guys were pivotal, and those three guys did score touchdowns in the Super Bowl. So we do want to identify that. But I'm just saying, if you're telling me you take Aaron Rodgers and you give Tom,
just swap them out.
Right, but take the pieces with him. Take Tom.
No. Leave all the other pieces where they're at.
So I was going to give you this. Let me frame it. I'm going to say Tom Brady goes to Green Bay. Tom Brady gets Gronk to Green Bay. Tom Brady,
Paul, no.
Just listen to the what's going on here. I'm going to give you Tom in Green Bay, Gronk, AB, and Fournette. I'm going to give you that. But in Tampa, you're going to get Aaron Rodgers, Ronald Jones, who's their already good running back. You're going to get Chris Godwin. You're going to get Scotty, and you're going to get Mike Evans. You give those two teams together, and the defense, which was the Super Bowl factor, which made them win in Tampa, that I'm telling you, I'm taking that team over Tom in Green Bay, hypothetically, with his weapons out there in Wisconsin.
Okay. All I'm talking about is the quarterback, because that's where all this started.
Right, and I'm saying I was trying to give you more. I was trying to give you more firepower.
All I'm saying is just swap the two quarterbacks.
I'm telling you, if you swap those quarterbacks, we're talking about Green Bay doesn't make the playoffs with Tom Brady, and I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers has 13 plus wins and is an NFL MVP and a Super Bowl MVP with Tampa Bay.
All right.
All right. That's it. That's all you have to say.
All right.
Man, you got some smart ass to kind of come back with or something.
Well, all right, I would, but I just don't really know how far I can go.
I told you, we can go all the way to the limit. Take it to the limit one more time.
Take it to the limit.
All right, folks, we're going to go get a break. 54 minutes after the hour. It's going to be a little bit of an extended cut. We started a little bit late. That's on me. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Dak Prescott and his franchise tag for the probably 80th time. But y'all love it. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show. Man, it's been good to get back in the saddle a little bit. It's been a little bit of a chore, kind of getting back, just trying to find, I think, my rhythm again. And lots of good college ball. Past this weekend, I got to see Deion Sanders coach his first first college game at Jackson State, where they dominated Edward Waters University, or Waters Edwards. Can't remember. Anyways, shout out to the HBCUs. Big win, 53-0. Lots of big games this weekend. We'll kind of go more in depth about who's playing. Going to be some local colleges playing with Incarnate Word, McNeese State, a couple other big universities. Big as far as FCS schools kind of playing ball in the spring rather than the fall due to COVID. So, COVID's still lingering around. It's one of those things that just hasn't. We thought would fade away. There'd been, they were like talking about so many days, and it's 2021, and we've had a hell of a storm, and had the COVID, and I'm ready just to get over this. Papa Romeo?
No, just a shout out to Johnny Wattis' family. May he rest in peace. Really good guy. He was about a year, I think, ahead of me in high school, but just a great guy all around. Was very fair. I think he was constabling for one of the precincts here, maybe precinct 4. But sorry that caught up to him. But our prayers are with his family.
Yeah, most definitely. Thoughts and prayers, everybody out there. Those going through it, hopefully kind of things get better. I've seen on Twitter a couple of coaches in the area where him and his spouse are kind of fighting, getting through that, and it's a tough ordeal. It's something that needs to be taken serious, but at the same time, you want to mitigate as much risk as you can by socially distance and just being aware. Just be mindful of things. I think that's the biggest thing we kind of want to get into. But moving forward, back to football. Like I said, lots of good college football coming this weekend. Looking forward to that. And then Dak Prescott and his drama with the Cowboys. And I really don't think it's much his fault as it is Jerry's fault. But again, what needs to be said is there was $100+ million offer put in front of Dak Prescott, and he said no. He wants 3 or 4 years, and probably 3 now that last year kind of has come and gone. And then he had that such a catastrophic injury that left a lump in your throat when you see him getting carted off the field at Jerry World, AT&T Stadium, and then coming back, and all the rumors and what is true and what's not true is hard to kind of just filter through, because it's kind of you don't know what the source is or who the source is and if the information's true or not. But with Dak Prescott, he has till March 9th to accept that tender. He's going to be making a little over $37 million this year. Last year, he made a little over 31, almost 32. And the Cowboys have one more opportunity after this year. They can tag him again in that next year. And depending on how the cap goes, he'll be pushing $50 million next year. If he's already made, close or over 70 in 2 years. And I think I hope he's listening to Kirk Cousins. Kirk went through this with the Washington football team, formerly the Redskins, and now Dak's kind of going through it with Dallas. And you hear a lot of people saying that this is going to hurt Dallas's opportunities in the future with a long-term deal. And, Dak has not been franchised this year. It hasn't happened yet. But at the same time, unless a long-term deal gets done, and when I mean long-term, I mean 3 years is what Dak probably wants, and 5 years is what Jerry wants. And maybe they can meet in the middle, but it's not going to be with 4. It's going to have to either be with the amount per year, which is probably going to be around the $40 to $45 million mark. And every year we move forward in our calendar, it's just going to go up. And so with Patrick Mahomes making, his $400, almost $500 million contract signed deal, Deshaun Watson getting his big deal last year as well. Deshaun's due. I mean, Jerry was not intelligent to make this deal done 2 years ago. It was really 3 years ago. And so they gambled and they lost. And I think Jerry wanted to see a full year with Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Of course, the injury happens, so that year gets cut short. And now, unless the numbers are right, I just don't feel that a deal is going to get struck before March 9th. And at that time, Dak Prescott's going to get $37 million plus guaranteed to him for the 2021 football season. But now, is that going to change his life? Oh, of course. Is he going to continue to make millions of dollars in sponsorships off the field? Of course. But at the same time, it does not give you peace of mind that the Dallas Cowboys believe in you as much as they say through the media. And that can kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth. Now, I don't think Dak Prescott deserves a deal. And that's just me due to the fact that he cannot win critical games against quality opponents during the regular season. Could that change? Maybe, but he hasn't shown that in his history. And it's, what have you done for me lately in the NFL? And with that being said, would I franchise tag again Dak Prescott? In a heartbeat. But at the same time, maybe I move back in the draft just ahead of New England and maybe get Mac Jones at Alabama. Maybe I parlay some picks and move forward to go get, Justin Fields out of Ohio State, who I think is the better quarterback out of Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, out of my opinion. But I'm definitely going to stay away from the kid out of BYU and staying away from Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, just because I think Trey Lance is Carson Wentz 2.0. Now, with that moving forward, I want to see Dak Prescott get a deal because I think the guy deserves it. But the football sense of me says, like the GM side of my brain says, that's not a smart deal unless it's going to be commensurate with what I have to do signing CeeDee Lamb, because CeeDee Lamb deserves a deal. Michael Gallup's going to need a deal. I would trade away Amari Cooper just because I don't think the dude is going to be the best fit for Dallas. With CeeDee Lamb and with Michael Gallup being 1, CeeDee Lamb being 1B, I like that matchup. Maybe they go get a quality defensive back in the draft. I like Patrick Surtain, especially with the new defense quarter coming in. I think Surtain would be somebody like a very highly skilled DB that would benefit in that off-man coverage that Dan Campbell likes to run. Papa Romeo's over there shaking his head, kind of want to get his take on what he feels Dak Prescott deserves, or if Dak Prescott just needs to ride the franchise tag, and then after this year, he can go test the market in somewhere else. What do you think, Papa Romeo?
Just two things. One, I figured out what a franchise means.
Okay.
It just kind of means it's like a relationship.
Yeah.
You're going to be with this quarterback until a better one comes along.
That's
all it means.
They're not ready to put a ring on the finger yet. That's it.
And then a while ago you said something interesting, because I do listen to you, contrary to what you might think.
I believe you.
So, you said he deserves it.
Yeah.
But has he earned it?
Granted,
Has he earned it?
I said he has not earned it.
It's a meritocracy in the NFL.
100%.
Win a conference championship, or win divisional, win something.
Consistently win divisional championships.
Yeah. And then, yes, you have a great argument for that. But, he broke his ankle for Jerry. He's dedicated.
I think it was more for I don't think it was for Jerry more than it was for the fans.
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic.
Now with the fan aspect, everybody wants the deal to get done. And we all know Jerry's a businessman. And so Jerry may get a sense of the fan base and say, do I want to sacrifice probably the rest of my longevity, quote unquote, his lifespan, for the fans, or does he want to make the right business decision to go win a Super Bowl? Now, the fans are going to be happy one way. The fans are going to be happy one way or the other because they're going to get their feel-good story with Dak, but they'll be elated if they go win a Super Bowl. If Jerry's smart, unless it did well. He hasn't been smart with Dak in his contracts. He's been better with his contracts for other players outside of Jalen Smith. Now, if Jerry can get the right deal done for the Cowboys so that he can go out and get maybe a high-end free agent for the offensive line and rebuild there, get Patrick Surtain, get a solid second-round offensive lineman to continue to rebuild the offensive side of the ball. I think the defensive line is better, but their linebackers are just porous right now. And
yep, that's right.
I really want to see
they don't have the defense.
The secondary get rebuilt. And right now, with Diggs, the other corner, Diggs came out of Alabama. You get Patrick Surtain, you'll have the 2019 starting corners for the Alabama Crimson Tide if you go get Patrick Surtain. then that'll help mitigate some of the deficiencies on the pass rush because they'll kind of cancel out each other. And then if you can find a diamond in the rough, a speedy linebacker who can cover, run side to side, and maybe the third or fourth round, maybe you're building something right there. But for right now, the secondary has to get rebuilt because you're not in a position to go get a marquee, can't miss pass rusher off the edge yet. Now, if Aldon Smith can come back and perform better than what he did last year, which Aldon Smith was the brightest side of that coin for the defense side of the ball up until probably 3/4 of the season due to the fact I think he just got fatigued. But Dak Prescott and that contract need to get either done or March 9th, he's going to be franchise tagged again. He's going to make his guaranteed money. He's going to probably get a check that Monday morning, which would that be, probably the 12th for $37 million.
Maybe he's happy with that. Maybe he's okay.
I don't think Dak
Who is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL?
Right now, Patrick Mahomes is. But
outstanding, young man. You are correct.
But there's one thing that has to be taken into consideration is you can pay, like Jerry could pay Dak, the market, but that doesn't leave money for other players to bring in that are going to contribute to go win a Super Bowl. He'll just be Jerry Jones, the Cowboys, blah, 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 not America's team anymore. And they're going to be average.
They're still going to be America's team no matter what happens. Yes, they are.
No, they're not. They're not. They haven't earned America's team since 1995. Let's just leave it at that. Moving forward, Dak Prescott, yeah, he can wear the cowboy hats to the press conference, but he's still going to be 8-8.
He's the number 8 paid. He's the 8th highest paid quarterback in the NFL right
and that's
now.
exactly that is exactly where his ranking is for his statistics. That's where he belongs. He is, and there's 32 teams in the NFL, right? So he is right there. He is a top 25% quarterback.
Guess who's not in this list?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Right. Because what does Tom Brady do? Takes less money to bring in more weapons to go win a ring.
And what do you call that? Leadership.
But let's look at the whole story, though. When we look at the whole story, Tom Brady's been making millions for 20 years. Dak Prescott's made 60, 70 million for 2.
Now, I'm not talking in comparison to Dak Prescott.
We're talking about money.
I'm talking about, yes, money in the context where you're going to help your team win a Super Bowl.
Right. And what Dak Prescott is saying, I haven't made enough money yet to take a pay cut. That's where it is right now. Because if he was in a position where he could take a pay cut, he would be like, yeah, I'll sign that 4-year, $100 million, making $25 million a year, and we can go win a ring. But hell, they can't even get the right defense on the field to help him out. So What's the point? Yeah. Why am I going to put my livelihood literally in the hands of a defense who can't stop anybody, and I got to go run for my life and outperform everybody and not get paid while I'm outperforming everybody in the garbage time of their games?
Well, he also needs to become a much more accurate passer.
Skill set.
I mean,
dating. We're dating right now because the skill set's not there. The clutch leadership. And when I say leadership, I mean like leadership in the fourth quarter drive to go down, block everything out, compartmentalize, and win a close game against a high quality opponent. Right. Not Jacksonville.
Right.
Not Arizona. Though not the lower end teams. Because a lot of the lower end teams I was going to name, I was like, well, Cleveland was in the playoffs. A lower end team right now is the Houston Texans. They are a bottom end team. So those are the types of teams that Dallas needs to dominate, but they don't. I mean, before Dak got hurt, they were barely beating the Giants. Now they pulled it out because there was this emotion because of Dak's injury, but they couldn't beat the Washington football team. That's a garbage team. They couldn't beat the Giants. They couldn't beat Philadelphia. Garbage teams. NFC East overall, garbage teams. And that's why I think Jerry Jones is like, nah, Dak, we're still going to date yet. I ain't ready to put the ring on it with a big contract because you just haven't shown me enough. And I think he's right because he needs to pay other pieces that are going to perform at a better level to compensate for Dak's passes behind the back or who are a little bit late, passes that are a little bit too high, passes that are just not as accurate. Because a great receiver can do that. The CeeDee Lambs, the Michael Gallups, they can offset those types of skills that are deficient for the quarterback. But I'm just saying, I like Mac Jones a lot. I'm just saying, maybe
why do you think he's so great? I mean, he had a lot of support around him.
Right. And tell me right now, is there a lot of support at the receiving corps for the Dallas Cowboys and in the running game? Yes. Najee Harris, Ezekiel Elliott, pretty similar. Devontae Smith, Michael Gallup.
Fumbling, yeah.
Najee Harris doesn't fumble.
I said Ezekiel.
Right. Why would you compare Zeke? Zeke does fumble.
That's what I said. He's a fumbler.
Well, he does now.
Fumbleitis.
He does right now. But my point is that there are equal or better talent in Dallas than Mac Jones had at Alabama. And what Mac Jones reminds me of a Tom Brady who was coming out of Michigan who just happened to go to Alabama, because Mac Jones had to sit through Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa for 3 years until he got his spot. And Mac Jones finished as the as a finalist to the Heisman Trophy behind the winner and his receiver, Devontae Smith.
So why wasn't he the quarterback those previous 3 years?
Well, what was probably promised? What was promised to Tua? What was promised to Jalen?
Why was he not the quarterback?
He wasn't better than them at that time.
Okay.
Right. How well is Jalen Hurts doing in the NFL?
Well, with Philadelphia, the way they benched him for no good reason.
How well is Tua Tagovailoa doing in Miami?
They're average at below average.
I'm telling you right now, with Mac Jones' mental toughness, if he does not get drafted if he goes to New England, which a lot of people think he's going to go to New England, he will be the next Tom Brady in New England.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now. And then that's why Dallas needs to trade back to 12 or 13 and take Mac Jones. Package some deals, move back, get right before New England and take Mac Jones.
You're basing that on one season.
I'm basing that on what did Joey Burrow do in one season?
I have no idea. What did he do?
Joe Burrow went from Ohio State, went to LSU, obscure in the first year at LSU, makes a run, becomes the number 1 overall pick, Heisman Trophy.
And what happened in NFL?
And he had no offensive line to protect him while he's running for his life.
Yeah.
And ends up breaking his leg, not breaking it, but tearing his knee up because he's running for his life. The point that I'm telling you that I'm making is that the quarterbacks that have to endure the most are the most mentally tough to go perform in the NFL against hyper elite talent. And I'm saying the SEC, hyper elite talent, week in, week out. Let's not forget to mention Alabama and Mac Jones had to run the gauntlet of the SEC. No powder puff teams each week, and they had to run the whole gambit of the SEC to win a national championship.
No, I agree with that part of it.
All right, let's leave it there, folks. It's been a good show coming back. It's been a little bit different, a little bit off. If we missed on the live stream, that's on me. There was something that probably came through. We're gonna upload to YouTube with the recording because we did make sure to have that as a contingency. Papa Romeo, what are you gonna leave the people with?
Well, I'd just like to leave everyone with best wishes and getting over this ice storm from last week. I was surprised, but I don't know if I should say this or not.
Say it.
All right. Well, all the Boy Scout camping skills that we all learned,
you better believe it,
came in handy. It was like camping out of your house. But
the survival skills kicked in.
Yeah. You earned your polar bear badge for sure last week.
maybe what if there's like a double polar bear badge?
Yeah.
Anyways, folks, I appreciate y'all watching tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Producer James should be in the building. Shout out to Chris and Lucero, Chris and the kids, Saturday morning, 10:30. Snoop, we see you out there with Flex covering that basketball. Y'all be good. We'll see you tomorrow. We're gone.